Greetings everyone, here's Lodrik and this is the Game War in the Pacific, Admiral's Edition. This is my play-by-ear match against Robert. He's the Japanese commander or player. And for me it is Allied side. This is now turn 1st March 42. Yesterday was unintended slaughter of my British light cruiser formation near Palmbang by Japanese carrier and long-range torpedo bombers. So there's only now the destroyers left and my cruiser. I'm on the way back. I find here now the Japanese light cruiser. If I had this before, it would be a good battle because I have my 6-inch guns can penetrate in Japanese light cruisers. But the Japanese always have their damn torpedoes and they sink here one British destroyer outright. I would be happy if I can take at least one Japanese light cruiser with me. Here you can see that the 5.5 inch of the Japanese light cruisers are good for killing destroyers, but nothing else. Of course, killing cargo ships also. But it looks like this task force was really not blessed by luck. I get here at least a hit on Kiso. And one more hit on Yura. But Express looks also dangerous damage. A little fire at least. So Tenet sunk outright. Express is on heavy fire, so it's hard for small ships to really firefight, depending how much system damage you have. I hope I can reach port, but I'm not more sure. We will see. The Japanese took some damage, but nothing special, nothing seriously, so I would say I can only hope to reach Batavia port this night, that I can start immediately firefighting with port facility. Night bombardment here for some cargo ships. So you can see that you can make night torpedo bomber runs if you have very good experience and skill. And of course some Japanese pilots have skill and experience. And here's the second landing of Japanese troops on Java. And this is now supported by Kido Butai. So there is not much I can do. You can also see there's 38th Division. Yeah. This is 2nd Division. American fleet boat cannot attack. Japanese destroy submarine. So this is Electra. So the task force is returning to Batavia. I get here some damage, but only 2 hits. This is not enough. But maybe I just arrived in Batavia. And here I have local cap. So I can slaughter some Navy search. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 Navy search aircraft destroyed. So a little payback for all the losses I had so far. And the P-38s are going for hunting, but no prey. And here is the enemy sweep for Batavia, and I think I set up everything on cap today. So it takes some time. The Japanese still win the battle and clear the skies. And it's more or less, yeah, even outcome. But 1-to-1 kill ratio, I would say, is in my favor because many of these good Japanese Zero pilots will maybe not return. But if there's much more coming, yeah. Similar outcome? No, I would say this time the Japanese win more. But I don't need kill them, I need only damage them. And if they are on long range mission, very likely they will crash. The biggest problem for me is again, I don't have really any airframes to hold Java, only Americans. The Dutch airframes are so little and so bad. A lot of bombardments here. Medan. And of course Clarkfield are maybe the next target to strike. If there's no enemy, I can try to bomb a little more with the little I have. So I fly now in the 11,000 feet to avoid more flak damage. And even at 15,000. Normally 15,000 is, I think, the best altitude for avoiding flak damage if you still won't hit something. More Navy search getting slaughtered here. It looks like a robot forgot to reduce the range of his Navy search if he's coming so close to my main bases. Unloading. Bombardment. And I rebuild all my divisions because I cannot really repair much. No supplies left. So it's maybe better to simply Stick together and die
Hello,
together.
my misguided friends. This is your number one enemy, Orphan Anne, from Radio Tokyo, with another blow to your morale and some music to console you. Today, the imperial government announced that the ever-victorious forces of the Japanese Empire have captured Jakarta.
Good, no one here. They can take this. And there's roughly 1000 AV already on shore. So 2nd Division, 38th Division, and a little equipment, anti-aircraft, and yeah, all the stuff you need as soon as possible. And yeah, so this means also that Java is now east and west. Cut. And this kind of army I cannot more kick back. This will be now the siege of Java and conquest. The question is how long I can hold. If I can hold at least up to the 1st of May, that would be my nice. Good. So more or less still a good turn, I would say, for me. Air losses are still in my favor. Japan lost 47 aircraft, so very strongly underreported. I would say this means there are over 10 more zeros destroyed. I'm not so sure if I slaughter over 13 jakes, or it's really more or less a balance out of this, so like 20 zeros and 18 jakes. But these are always the true numbers, and this is Fog of War. So there was 47 lost aircraft here today. If I go now with normal 20 zeros killed, I lost 28 aircraft, and these are all fighters. Of course, this is Buffalo, and more Buffalo, and Hawks is similar like a Buffalo. So I lost 10 aircraft second class and 20 first class aircraft, something like this. Then it would be more or less a 1-to-1 kill ratio plus side stuff. What is okay? Of course, I always prefer to slaughter strike aircraft or not fighters, but I cannot change it. At the end, best is I only had 3 killed pilot and 12 wounded. Yeah, I have so far 2 aces and a lot of pilots with some kills, but yeah, that is the most important here, the first page. Ground units destroyed. So far, there are some I could buy back. All the Dutch infantry units normally makes no sense because most of the equipment I cannot get back, or I have no pool for this. So I will maybe not buy them back. Engineer base forces is maybe other story. Most of this stuff is not really built by a nation. Then this is all standard stuff. All this anti-aircraft stuff is common use stuff. It's British, Commonwealth, Dutch forces. I think and even the Australian, they share this. I'm not so sure if the American use the same, but at least the 40mm Bofus, I think, is also the American. So, and this is all not nation related stuff. So this kind of units I could buy back and build them up again if I had the time. But we will see. Good. I can maybe shortly check how the air loss, because this is now the new month is now over. And again, here are the true numbers. This is Fog of War numbers. There's very high, I would say 185 I mean, 1322 is a calculation base, so it's always like 10% less, I would say. That makes it very easy. So 175 or 170 zeros may be lost. A bunch of, this is more important for me, killing bombers. I would say it's much more important to kill Japanese bombers, strike aircraft, not so much the fighters. Is nice, but killing here Lilies and Sallys and Bettys and plus Nels is a lot of strike aircraft the Japanese must rebuild. They can do this, but also train the pilots costs time. So you can see the numbers also that nearly or 60 Jakes maybe also destroyed. So it is a lot of Navy search the Japanese have to rebuild and retrain. Nothing else special I see here. What is also nice to see is the H6 4-engine. Yeah, they cost a lot of industry points to rebuild. And normally the Japanese have not so much capacity to build this kind of aircraft. Depending on the player, I normally never build any H6. I always wait for the H8. But we will see if Robert is maybe playing more on Mavis' side. Also, and for me, compare this to my losses. A lot of Catalinas, but half of them are destroyed at day 1. Pearl Harbor and where else. Plus, I airlift a lot of Dutch forces, and then you cannot avoid this. Also, trying to fight with buffaloes will never work, but yeah, I have to try. All I can do is getting P-40s in front line as soon as possible and try to fight with this aircraft as much as possible. I have at least some replacement rate. They are maybe not the best dogfighter, but they can take a lot of punishment and damage before they break apart. The Hurricane 2 is maybe the better dogfighter, I would say. But I don't have, at least now, too many of them. And these are also buffaloes. Yeah. What you maybe can find out is I lost nearly, but I also don't use a lot, strike aircraft here. Strike aircraft, if I go back, then Blenheims, 6, there's nothing. Hudson's, 5 from the Chinese. And I lost 3 B-17D, the older edition. I get no spare parts. And 1 P-38 and 1 B-17E so far. At the end, the 4-engine bombers are the main strike force for the Americans, plus of course all this twin engine stuff what is coming. And I guess this is more important in the long run to build up your strike aircraft as soon as possible so that the Allies have something to punch back. Yeah, but it will still take time. Good, air units destroyed so far, only ship losses, nothing else. That is also important. If possible, better disband a unit before it gets destroyed. It will at least come back for free and you don't have to pay back. The amount of time you lose is maybe the same. The airframes are still lost. You can still try to save the pilots, take them out before disbanding. Airframes are lost anyway, but you must pay for them. And airframes or air groups buyback is always, compared to what you get, expensive, because the game simply say, The size of a air wing 1 is always the cost of 5. So, and this is always the same ratio, 2, 10, 4, 20, and so on. So this gets expensive. Good, so far for air losses. Ship losses was in favor for Robert. You can see it here. Of course, this is a fog of war. I lost 320 ships with 2,169 points. The Japanese lost so far reported 59 ships with 351. Yeah. Amount of ships is maybe not so important, maybe more the points. Because I lose a lot of small ships, I don't care too much. A lot of Dutch stuff. So ships sunk, if I go now first for myself, and if I say only military stuff, this is military stuff. So I lost the 2 modern British battleships, Maryland sunk in Pearl Harbor, Boise, Helen, Indianapolis, Houston. These are all modern cruisers, and I would like to keep them. And the rest of the light cruisers are all outdated stuff. Some are better, and Concorde is the Omama class, okay. 2 of those old Omama class cruisers are lost, so I don't really care them too much. But this is the E class, and it's still, this is more or less the best of the old British destroyers, or cruisers, better say. And D class, I think the armament on this is more or less all really the same. They have maybe a little less gun and firepower, or a little less durability. 23 for a C class and 30 for E class. Yeah, so I would say there's a little more meat behind this E class cruisers than a C class, but yeah. Good. Also, some submarines sunk so far. Well, most of them sunk, damaged first day in Manila. Some other getting destroyed and hunt down. Hit some mines. Hit your own mine. Killed by... This is the destroyers, okay. So these are the submarines more or less. And destroyers, yeah, you can see here roughly 15 destroyers lost so far. What is not super terrible. Up to summer 42, there are not too much replacement for the American destroyer fleet. But it could be more worse. Still, this light cruisers, like modern, this is what bothers me. This 3 battleships, happened. But I was a little unlucky how I lost most of my cruisers. But it was my issue because I give the wrong command. So, for the Japanese reported, like this, so far, a light cruiser, but there is for at least also a heavy cruiser lost, that I know. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 destroyers, 3 APDs. So a dozen destroyers sunk, 2, 3 submarines maybe, 2 or 3 cruisers sunk, no battleship, no aircraft carrier, so of course much less compared to the Allied side. But sinking destroyers is always good, especially if it's good destroyers. So as you can see, these are all first class destroyers, not the super good destroyers, at least not all of them, but all of everything what is a 6, at least a 7, these are all modern with 5-inch guns. So I call normally everything what is a 5-inch gun for the Japanese is a first class destroyer, and what they have, if they have the old 120 centimeter or 4.7, what the British use, is a second class destroyer. Good. So far for this. Um, there was no action, I would say. I still try to, ship here non-stop stuff up and down, but it still simply take time. Building up here the bases, Baker Island and Canton Island, but stuff is arriving. Unloading here what is left. I guess this is all heavy equipment, what is hard to unload. Ah, yeah, it will take more time. I maybe use not enough shipping capacity. It's always better if you have simply more ships loading one unit, not only two. At least I can say that Pago is now really safe. I have 100,000 tons of supplies already here. Also nearly 100,000 tons on Fiji. More and more equipment is arriving here. I also have now the first long range recon. What is necessary to make any real attempt to bombard, shell, whatever you want to do. I need a good detection on the base before I can do something. It's at least helpful. And the New Zealand guys more or less is training primarily for anti-submarine equipment or hunting. But it takes time because I don't really have... New Zealand have many airframes I can really use. So, or they're very small air wings. This is also not so helpful. So normally I try to train at least 2 skills before I use a pilot in active duty. New Zealand itself looks fine. Many players maybe forget to send here supplies and fuel here, but I have now 100,000 K fuel and 200,000 K, 200,000 supplies. So this is enough for Auckland to survive and do stuff. I train here also some American air wings. I have not enough spares to fill up this air wing, so I need some time. Once this is done, I can maybe send them to the front line. Australia also looks fine, I would say. So I have only not enough fuel, but it's coming. Supplies is enough. More of this New Zealand air wings training non-stop. But again, I get no reinforcement. So first in April 43, I can really train New Zealand Navy search in numbers. With the Australians, I have only this training aircraft. This is only a training aircraft, not for really combat duty. And not much else. Hudson ones are, light bombers, like a Dornier 17. So I better use this aircraft simply to train pilots. This is not the time to fight with them, it's the time to train pilots. So I train them always on Navy bombing first and then or switch it and then ground attack. These 2 skills is a must-have for every strike pilot. And also these air wings, they have an upgrade pass to the boomerang, so a fighter bomber. But they don't upgrade to twin engine bombers, so if I want to upgrade them to twin engine bombers, I could do this, but I have to pay points. And I use the points for other stuff. So I check if there's a free upgrade to a twin engine bomber, I do it, and then I use a Hudson 1. What is in my eye still not a combat unit, but it's at least a support aircraft. The long range Hudson 1, on the other hand, I get very small numbers now. It's in March, it's just started to produce this air wing. This is an aircraft I could really use for anti-submarine and night bombardments. For other anti-shipping night bombardments, something like this. But again, the Australian Air Force is more or less only a training Air Force and not a combat Air Force. Same situation with the American Navy bombing. I have no pilots ready for any Navy strike missions for the US Air Army, Air Force. All these pilots are just barely finishing the Navy bombing skill, and then they have to train the ground bombardment, that they have the defense at maximum, and that they have experience at least of 50 plus. And before I don't have these pilots, I will not send them out because it's useless. And I still, yeah, I also, I don't know if this everyone is clear. This airframe is really only in 1 month in production, so there is nothing coming back. Once these benches are all consumed, it's over. This airing will go back, but not every. There's I think 2 or 3 Banshee airings left, and there is first in summer of 43 the new Banshee B coming. So if you consume all of the normal Banshees, then you have nothing more to feed this airing. Or you have pay points to change the airing from fighter bomber to something else. Anyway, I would only say don't throw away these airwings. They are not the best aircraft, but I mean at the end they're SPD-3. Good. At least I have here still also some cruisers, so 2 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and a dozen, so a little more destroyers. Wait, not this. So you can see I have here some American cruisers with radar already. Oh, this one not, but this is coming soon. So I normally wait to get radar at least on every capital ship because I send them out. Good. So much for Australia. Darwin, enough supplies, enough fuel. I sent here enough early on, a lot of Dutch fuel. So if no strike is coming on Darwin, I can use this base early on maybe to strike back. I just also get the airfield level 5, so I can use now 4 engine bombers. I have here 2 wings. They cannot do a lot, but in range of Ambon, of course, this is likely heavily defended by fighter. Biggest story was maybe now after the defeat of my task force, but at least my task force was able to return mostly. I mean, I lost the destroyer, yeah, but Express was able to return in Colombo also. Of course, Colombo is a cruiser I will not keep here for long, so it was nice to get the cruiser back, but if I can only try to repair and then send him out again for any battle. The Japanese sent here everything in. It's completely impossible for me to strike. And they're immediately going east. So it looks like he's going for Surabaya first, which makes sense because here's the shipyard. And Surabaya is a clear terrain. So there's less I can dig in. The west part is much easier to defend. There's jungle, mountain, and even Batavia is urban light. I have here now to not completely only play this kind of I go to a mountain and stay in the mountain and you can do this, but this is not my side. I defend the both most important cities here, Batavia and Surabaya. I have here a true Dutch army in Surabaya trying to get to fort level 4. We will see if this is possible. And here is this Dutch, British, American? No. Yeah, little American supporters also. So I have here a lot of cruisers. And this was the reason I could not get all my fighters in one hex, so I had to split. But this airing got a lot of kills. I think you also get kills, I'm not so sure, if you kill Navy Search. I'm not so sure. But yeah, I rotate here some pilots in and out, and this is why this is always the kill ratio of the airing, and this is not matching with, of course, the kills of the pilots. The game is lacking a little. I would normally like to have here a little more feedback. How many kills each pilot did last turn, or a history of kills for the airing. Anyway, so Surabaya is having a lot of equipment I normally want to save. And looks like he's going for Surabaya first. Okay. Batavia and this had a big air battle today, so I'm also trying to get to fort level 4. I should have enough supplies. 100,000 here and 40,000 so by okay. Here we had a big air battle today. Maybe I can do it like this way. And you can see that I was on long range cap because I was trying to get cap over my cruisers. So this air wing was not part of a battle last turn. Or maybe, no, there was not. This guy had 2 wounded pilots. I don't know how many airframes I lost, hard to say, maybe 4, maybe 5. I think it was more or less a 1-to-1 kill ratio. But no experience here, so not sure. But at least this was Hurricanes, so they can fly in 20k with not too much issues. But because it's a Dutch air wing, the pilots are not so super good. This air wing was also long range cap, took no part. The Hurricanes took part of the battle. 1 kill pilot, 2 wounded. This was a British air wing. But looks like I also downed some aircraft, so maybe 1-to-1 kill ratio. This air wing also took part of the battle. 1 wounded pilot. And maybe 2 lost aircraft. 2 are missing here. And this was maybe more successful. The Australians, 1 wounded pilot. New Zealand with Hurricanes, 1 killed, 1 wounded. But there are some kills, okay. So maybe they also got a 1-to-1. So at the end, and the Hawks, normally not a terrible aircraft, but also nothing crazy good. You have some decent firepower, they have good maneuver values and okay speed, so it's like an Oscar 1C, I would say. Also not protected, but good durability for this kind of air fighter. So if I had more, would be nice, but I don't have more, and I also don't get anything, so yeah, I have 5 in pool, but then it's over. And here's also this kind of fighter. I don't really use them. I mean, at some point I have to use them, but I like more to train with them. They're not super terrible. It's more or less the same like a Oscar 1C. Similar firepower, similar maneuver values, not protected, but speed is all very similar. So it is like Oscar. The issue is, again, you need the Dutch pilots with the skills, and that is hard to come by so early. Good, I would say this is first enough. Good, and the rest, there was not much action. China, I hold, I try. Burma, also no action. I mean, of course, there's movement. There's a big army coming for Rangoon, that for sure. Anything else? I cannot really act here with this kind of heavy cruiser formation, and of course Kiributai is here. Maybe I can send some torpedo boats in, but this is all I can I would advise to do now. What is coming is a little late. Now is Kiributai here, but I have here the 2 Sovereign class old battleships. They could do something if they have a day fight, but for night engagement, I'm not so sure. But there are some British battleships I could throw away because they're nothing else. They're really only cannon fodder or for shelling enemy bases. We will see. Good. See you next time. Take care. Bye bye.